Welcome back. Human trafficking is on the rise in South Africa, where several areas across Gauteng have been identified as hotspots for the recruitment of human trafficking victims.
Springs, Benoni, Fordsburg, Krugersdorp, Sunnyside, Vereniging and Vanderbijl Park have been pinpointed as major recruitment areas. This morning, we found out how people can better protect themselves against being trafficked. Security expert Rory Steyn joins us to give us tips. A very good morning to you, Rory, and thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into the tips, I want to start here. And I'm probably not going to, quote him as he put it specifically, but the police minister, Gauteng, had said that there really isn't human trafficking in this country, or at least there isn't a human trafficking problem in this country. Is he too removed from the realities of South Africa?
Good morning, Morena, morning, Faith, and everybody listening. I'm not sure whether or not he's far too removed, but I think he is wrong in this instance. I think that we do have a problem, but it's not a new one. That's the sad thing. If you look at the awful story of Sarki Bartman going back to the early 1800s, where she was taken to Europe as some kind of a curiosity and made a spectacle of, and even before that, in our maritime and colonial past, where you had Portuguese, Dutch, British and British East India vessels stopping in South Africa. Wherever you've got trade routes, this is the reality, wherever you have trade routes, you are going to have human trafficking. Now, I don't want to sound like the cliche, but organized crime will concentrate on wherever there is money to be made. So whether people are trafficking arms, ammunition, or people, if the criminals are that evil, that they will capitalize on that. So the problem, of course, is that people are not drugs or firearms. There are distinct social problems that then emanate from that. So those are the causes. But if your question, Morena, is what is the solution, or how do we in South Africa arm ourselves against this? Parents, I'm a parent. I'm sure both of you are too. How do we arm ourselves against this happening, heaven forbid, to one of our children or those closest to us? Then the solution, I believe, starts with information and education. And I was quite encouraged to read about the NGOs that have now established themselves to do just that. But of course, you need a police service that is in tune with that. And what you don't need is somebody at the top of the police service saying that we don't have a problem, because we've got a massive crime problem, as we all know, in South Africa, and the police have many priorities. And there are some really passionate, dedicated, fantastic men and women in that thin blue line that fight every day against the scourge of crime. And what they need is education, information, intelligence. I keep banging the intelligence drum. What we really need is intelligence, and then that translated into training, so that we give our police men and women the best option of doing something about this. And then, of course, when arrests are made or when intelligence comes through, then we need the social justice, the criminal justice system to step up, and take these cases on. So it's not a small problem. And while ever there is attention diverted elsewhere, Morena, and while ever there is opportunity in this awful business of trafficking in men and women and children and their organs, for goodness sake, there is going to be criminals that capitalize, sadly.
Yeah. Rory, and as we're looking at even the various areas that have been identified, Springs, Benoni, Fordsburg, Krugersdorp, Sunnyside, Vereniging, Vanderbijl Park and the like, do we have intelligence that can actually tell us exactly what is happening in those areas? What kind of crime is prevalent in those areas? Is it sex crimes? Is it, human trafficking for the purpose of exploitation where work opportunities are concerned? Do we know exactly what the intelligence is telling us about the type of crimes and the type of human trafficking that is happening in these areas? Because I can imagine that you and I having this conversation with Morena, those that are living in Springs right now are going, what? This is happening in Springs and in Vanderbijl Park. It sends one shockwaves to think that in my area, my neighbor could potentially be a human trafficker.
Do you know what, Faith? I'm not convinced that it's only confined to those areas. I think that what you'll probably find is that the latest report that was done has found a prevalence there. But I'll tell you that I think that human trafficking occurs everywhere. Anywhere where there is opportunity, criminals will follow. They are incredible. They are like maggots. They will find the rotten meat wherever it is. Having said that, your question was whether there is a lack of intelligence. I think that there is some intelligence, Faith, because the report that we saw, and there are wonderful NGOs, I don't know how well funded they are, but there are wonderful NGOs. There are academic reports, with properly written and researched that indicate that human trafficking is an issue. So I think that there is some intelligence. The question is that intelligence getting down to where the rubber hits the road? In other words, is the intelligence being forwarded by crime intelligence, which is a police unit, to specialized police units that can act? And they need to act in a concerted manner. This is not something that you deal with, by hit and miss type operation. So you get a little bit of intelligence there and you strike this house or that hotel or this clinic or hospital or whatever. It has to be part of a concerted campaign where they are, that's why, Faith, the Scorpions was such a success, because it involved well-trained police. It involved passionate and well-trained lawyers in the National Prosecuting Authority. And they had the ability then to co-opt any other experts that they had. So presumably you would then co-opt people who are passionate. There are people that are passionate about this kind of thing in the NGO sphere. Like any parent who has lost a child or whose child has become a victim of this can become the most powerful and passionate advocate. And they will have done their own research. It's a matter of pooling that. But before you pool all of this intelligence and information and passion that is available out there, you need a conduit and a kind of organized, structured system that, that deals with this stuff. And I think that is what's missing at the moment.
Rory, thank you so much. We obviously wish we could have more conversation about this, because this is a serious issue that South Africa is facing that perhaps a lot of us feel is not getting the kind of attention that it does deserve. But of course, that is where we have to leave it with security expert Rory Steyn. Now,